Hello. Ah. Hi. Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for coming to the Kamin Zimmer for our side event on the UN Climate Change and University Partnership Programme, which is run by the UNFCCC Secretariat. Thank you very much for coming on a very hot Saturday afternoon when we've all had a very, very busy week. So really appreciate your time and your efforts in joining us this afternoon. I have to start by making the apologies of Yusuf Nassif, who was going to be here, but there's a bureau meeting, so he sends his apologies for not being able to make it, so you have more of me. Thank you. I have a great team. So, do you want to move forward on the slides? So if possible, could you let us know that you were here and scan the QR code just to let us know who's in the room. And we will share also the follow-up from this with you all as well. While you're doing that, a little bit of background on the University Partnership Programme. And I'm going to give a shout out also to Roger, who's in the room, who kicked this all off a couple of years back. Thank you, Roger. So the University Partnership Programme was set up to build, if you like, a tripartite collaboration between universities, between technical partners, and between the university, with the UNFCCC, apologies. And really it's about addressing knowledge gaps on adaptation and bringing new knowledge to that space. And that's what we've been trying to do over the last couple of years. And there's a number of projects which we'll go into in a little bit. But what we're here to do for this side event now, we actually have in our negotiations this week a call from parties to try and think about how we strengthen the university partnership moving forward. But we really also want to do this in the right way. So we really want to build forward from where there's great beginnings that I'm not responsible for. Roger is, thank you. And Lily as well, who's been doing a lot of work on this. She gets very embarrassed, so I have to say thank you, Lily, also. And really look at where we need to take this so that it makes sense for everybody who's involved to really deep dive on what we want to build transformational adaptation moving forward. That's enough of my picture. What's the next one? So what we're going to talk about a little bit is present. We have some videos for you from alumni. We have alumni in the room also to talk about the past experience of the program. We have a fantastic panel who are currently in the audience. We'll bring them up in a minute to speak about where we want to head with this, and we really want to discuss how to move forward to inspire and encourage synergistic collaboration and scale this up in the right way. That's Yusuf, who sends his apologies. Next slide. So just a little bit more about where we are right now. The Climate Change Universities Partnership Programme has rolled out a very good 17 projects around the world since 2018. We're currently in the transition period. We're sort of doing a little bit of a pause while we think where we're heading to next. So there's 3 projects currently ongoing in this year, and then possibly 1 or 2 more, but we really need to think about where we head with this moving forward. And it's about producing new knowledge into the demand space, into the problem space around adaptation. Next slide, please. These are our universities that we currently partner with. And these are the projects that have been, are these the completed projects as well as the current ones? These are the completed ones. So you see, we really are trying to build a global reach. Next slide. And adaptation knowledge gaps are many. The Lima Adaptation Knowledge Initiative project of the Nairobi Work Programme has really pulled out some sub-regional priority gaps around the world, and a lot of the projects have been working with those technical partners on the ground. We have partnerships also with the UN University, which is an extremely important collaboration. And we have projects that have been more of a global approach to look at building knowledge into requests that are provided through the Constituted Bodies work programs as well. Next slide, please. Where we are right now. So, as with all of us, the resources are limited, and we're trying to do the best we can with what we've got. Right this moment, there's still a limited engagement with the Global South. We have some. We want to do more. We have the partnership program itself, of course, builds these relationships between technical partners on the grounds and the universities. So we really want to try and encourage engagement with those technical partners. And there's a big dependence on that, but of course, a lot of it's through goodwill. And we also want to make sure that the projects are policy relevant, so they can feed back to the national focal points or to the constituted bodies in the right way to really deliver the knowledge where it's needed. So we have a vision, quite a colorful one. We hope really to build this for, this is a work in progress, so please don't take this as read right now. This is sort of within our team at the minute. We're really trying to look at what does the partnership program look like moving forward. We want the Nairobi Work Programme, our vision for the Nairobi Work Programme was to build knowledge to action. So we're one of the unique spaces in the Secretariat which really delivers knowledge and brokers knowledge to different sectors and to the constituted bodies and to the parties themselves. So the demand is there, but we also want results to meet that demand. We want to build off of the power of the youth and of their bright minds and their ability and wish to work transdisciplinary to address these real-world problems that are very much present and increasing as we move forward, and to build their capacity to address these as a reformed workforce moving forward. We want to think about it in terms of how we address the Paris Agreement and other intergovernmental needs from the multilateral conversations around SDGs, GBF, and so on and so forth. And the there's connections there. Adaptation, obviously, you need the connection. You need to build a systemized way of addressing some of these real issues. So it's the power of youth to address and build knowledge into the adaptation knowledge spaces. So with that, I'd like to pass to Haisu, who's going to play a video, and this is a number of testimonials by alumni of the University Partnership Program. We've asked them to talk a little bit about what their experiences was, but also what they would see as opportunities and things that they would like to see from the Partnership Program, or would have liked to see from the Partnership Program moving forward. So let's roll the video.
morning, good afternoon all. I'm Claire.
And I'm Emily.
We are representing a team of 6 master's students at the University of Michigan conducting research under the UN Climate Change and Universities Partnership Program of the UNFCCC and subclients like UNEP and the Australia Pacific Climate Partnership. Our project examines the challenges and opportunities in making climate information accessible and usable for marginalized groups in Samoa and Vanuatu, 2 Pacific Island developing states that are expected to bear the brunt of a climate change crisis they did not create. Under the partnership program, we have been conducting research to first determine challenges across how climate information is communicated, what climate information is communicated, and how those receiving climate information feel empowered or not to use this information. And we're looking especially at the experiences of youth, women, remote communities, and people with disabilities. And then secondly, our research seeks to identify best practices in disseminating relevant and usable climate information to marginalized knowledge users. And based on this research, we hope to make recommendations for those managing climate information systems in the 2 countries we're looking at.
And then a little bit more on our research experience. In Samoa, we've spoken with students, the MNRE, ADRA, the Red Cross, 350 Samoa, Conservation International, community members involved in climate action across the country, the Disaster Management Office, and others. And in Vanuatu, we've spoken with officers at the National Meteorological Service, members of the Vanuatu Climate Action Network, members of the Van Kierup Project, Women's Weather Watch, and SPREP. And we've come across a few key themes. First, people receive climate bulletins, but don't necessarily always heed or use them to inform decision-making. Second, there are sometimes technical language barriers keeping people from using climate information shared with them. Third, early warning systems cannot be effective without centering the needs and leadership of women and other marginalized groups like disabled populations. And lastly, the radio, TV, and Facebook are some of the most common ways people learn about climate outlooks and early warnings.
So one of the main challenges that we encountered in our research, being students based in the US, was connecting with stakeholders on the ground early on, especially community members, whose voices and experiences we really wanted to elevate and prioritize to inform our recommendations. So what we ended up doing was working with 1 research assistant based in each country. And they have been instrumental in connecting us with stakeholders, helping set up and conduct interviews. And with their help, we've been able to connect with a host of people from the organizations we just mentioned, who have been eager to share insights and experiences for this project. So it's been really enriching. And not only has it been essential to our project to work with these RAs, but working with them has also offered us as students the opportunity to learn a lot from them and their experiences in each of the countries. We plan to continue engaging with these RAs to the extent that they're interested and able when we move forward with our project, providing honoraria if they want to support any final deliverables or participate in the presentation of our findings. So that has been our experience. Thank you for listening.
Being part of the UN Climate Change Partnership with the British University in Egypt was a milestone in my life, as it enhanced my research capabilities as an early career professional. Since I got the opportunity to embark on a research project, getting involved with national and international entities, as well as attending capacity building trainings and workshops. However, I believe this program can be enhanced through equipping students with the data collection methods in order to help them avoid institutional barriers to data accessibilities, which might be challenging in their research design.
Hello all, this is Srigesh from JNU New Delhi. I led a coordinated program in partnership with Tribhuvan University, Nepal, and was guided by UNFCCC, as part of LUCKY under Nairobi Work Programme, along with the WMO and GWP, to identify the knowledge gap and adaptation options in water sector in the Hindu Kush Himalayan region. The program aimed to build capacity among graduates. Suman identified the extreme events of drought and flood, while Dejant and Supriya assessed physical and socio-economic vulnerabilities respectively. Over to Suman.
As part of the JNU team, we tried to assess how extreme rainfall, temperature, and drought events have changed over the Indian Himalaya. We assessed this trend over Chamoli and Upper Siang. These are two districts of the Indian Himalaya. We found that extreme rainfall events have increased in the recent past. And for drought, we noticed that there is a transition from dry period to wet period after 2011 in these two districts. And for temperature, we noticed that most of the hot extreme events have increased in response to the warming. And for cold extreme, we found a decreasing trend. This trend pattern is quite similar that has been reported in the recent AR6 report of the IPCC.
Hello, this is Dishant, and my work is focused on flood and drought susceptibility zonation in the Upper Siang district and its two urban centers, for which 9 physical indicators and AHP are used. Both the towns lie on the river bank, however, one is found to be highly prone to floods, whereas the other town is safe because it lies on an elevated river terrace. Conversely, areas above 2,500 meters are highly prone to droughts because of poor accessibility to water resources. Therefore, owing to diverse topography, a region-specific physiographic approach is required in hilly environments for efficient mitigation of climatic extreme events. Regular meetings and inputs from WMO, GWP, and UNFCCC teams improved the methodology, and the results of this study will be used by decision makers at the district as well as sub-district levels. Thank you.
Hello everyone, this is Supriya Upadhyay. I'm looking into the socio-economic vulnerability arising out of floods and droughts and their adaptation option for Chamoli district of Uttarakhand and Upper Siang district of Arunachal Pradesh, states of India. Here, indicators are developed for assessing the vulnerability of mountainous people and to address the adaptation strategies on the line of lacking knowledge gap 10. 10 indicators-based vulnerability has been shown for the Sholay block of Chamoli and Ikyang block of Upper Siang. It has been observed that the vulnerability varies based on the accessibility and availability of various socio-economic amenities. Thus, urban areas are less vulnerable than the rural one. These are the structural and non-structural adaptation measures that can be taken to tackle the adverse impact of floods and droughts. UNFCCC University Partnership Program under Nairobi Water Programme gave us great opportunity to be part of global knowledge exchange platform. This helped us to address the knowledge gaps that are critical barrier to implementation of adaptation measures. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Alfred Afeku. I am an alumni of UN Climate and Universities Partnership Program 2022, University of Galway in Ireland. I studied Master of Science in Global Environmental Economics, and I am representing a team of 3. Our study focused on limits of ecosystem-based adaptation in managing coastal flood risks in the face of climate change, the case of Pacific small island developing states. We looked at the economic perspective, and we provided a preliminary review of existing knowledge and recommendations for future research. Presently, I'm a PhD student at the University of Galway, and my participation in the UN-UPP was transformative generally. It guided my current research focus in climate action and economics of climate change. To make an impact, I would propose establishment of strong alumni network with robust mentorship platform and continued engagement of alumni in projects and programs. I strongly believe this way we'll be able to mentor strong climate change leaders and the ambassadors globally. Thank you.
Thank you. If you are interested in the actual projects themselves, just let you know that they're on the adaptation knowledge portal. So we have all of the information available. I don't expect you to have gathered all of those graphs as we whizzed through them. We were more concentrating on our former alumni and the important experience that they had with this program. So with that, I'd like to invite our first set of panelists to come and join us at the front. And let's get rid of these names, because these are the wrong ones. So if Payai, Britta, Daria, I think some of you may not be able to all sit at the front. We're one seat short, but maybe Haisu, you can give up your seat for... And Laura also. It's okay. I think everyone's here. Emmanuel, do you want to... Or Laura, do you want to operate? You can multitask, Laura. And Emmanuel. Okay. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to invite the panelists. We still have someone who's coming in a moment to join us at the end. Alison is still in the audience, but I'd like to introduce Payai from the Least Developed Countries Expert Group. We have Britta from the Adaptation Committee. Daria, thank you for coming, from the LCIPP Facilitative Working Group. Pilar, who's gotten to know me quite well because she's helping co-facilitate the Nairobi Work Programme this week, from Argentina and the University of Rosario. Pilar has many hats. So on this panel, she's been our focal point for the University Partnership Programme with the University of Rosario. Emmanuel Cho from the UN University, and Laura Mackenzie, who's one of our alumni from the Partnership Programme. So first, let me start with you, Payai. Thank you so much for being here. Could you perhaps highlight a few considerations for us to keep in mind as we aim to scale up meaningfully to serve all countries, and particularly the LDCs and SIDS with the University Partnership Programme? Your thoughts on this would be much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, I would actually like to say that congratulations to the Nairobi Work Programs for having such an initiative. All what we have been looking for as young generation or youth is to make sure that we build our capacity. And I think personally, I would actually say it, I'm part of you. I'm also young. Having said so, I would actually like to highlight the second, that I would like to give my apology in advance. I'm also a lead negotiator on agriculture, and the negotiation is going on. I have actually asked for 30 minutes, and I've requested someone to take the floor on my behalf, while I will be going back again to continue the journey that we have started. I've been coming back to the reflection on the question that has been asked on how can we scale up the meaning pool to serve all the countries and the LDC and the SIDS. At the beginning, I would actually like to say good evening, colleagues. I'm by the name Payai Manyok John from South Sudan. I'm a member of the Lake. I've been a member of the Lake for the last 2 years. And I would also like to take this opportunity on behalf of the least developed countries to express our appreciations and also to express our gratitude for this opportunity to provide our input toward the work of the Lake in regard to the UN University Partnership Programs. And also in light of that, I would also like to highlight that, have a note that the Lake has a long and well-established process of engaging all the actors and the stakeholders in its works, including the government institutions, civil society, local communities, indigenous people, women, youth, and many others. And as we are talking today, our main focus is actually empowering youth, young people to deliver actions, knowledge for transformation actions. In light of that, in delivering its mandates on providing guidance to the LDCs on the process to formulate and implement SNAPs, the LECs put emphasis on the participatory nature and the needs of the need of the multi-stakeholders engagement. That includes in the process of developing our NAPs and also in the process of consultations. We do believe, and in the spirit, that youth are the filler and they have to be engaged in developing the process of NAP. On the same, that also highlight that the roles being played by the youth in adaptation planning and implementation. We are all aware that, and we must all testify that the engagement of the youth and also in the implementation of the NAPs has been realized in so many ways, beginning with awareness, and also beginning with the work or the research that have been conducted mostly by the young generations, particularly the youth. And has already been highlighted in the video which we all watch. It shows that youth are much engaged in the process, and whatever they do will guide the process while planning or implementing the adaptation action. In light of that, I would also like to highlight that young people are at the core of the multi-actors and stakeholders, acting as the policies accelerators, agent of change and implementers. We are pleased also to share that in a number of engagements we have had with youth, such as the Adaptation Global Dialogues, which happened in 2019 when we have the NAP Expo, and also the youth engagement at NAP Expo 2022, and also the recent NAP Expo in 2023 that took place in Chile. We have actually realized on the participation of youth, mostly the young generation, in accelerating the issues of climate change as an implementers. In light of that, I would also like to highlight that we have also heard and also see the creativity and the innovation that has been provided by youth in addressing issues related to climate change. It is also, again, the backdrop of empowering youth people to deliver knowledge for transformative adaptation. We foresee the following potential opportunities for meaningful engagements with the university partnerships programs through the various avenue of the modalities and initiative of the lake. And first, as I would like to highlight, the lake has actually established a fourth medical subgroup to further enhance technical guidelines or support on NAPs, which are multi-stakeholders forums. When we talk about the multi-stakeholders forums, this is a forum whereby we invite different stakeholders, beginning from youth, women's, vulnerable communities, experts, governments, civil society, to engage in the process of developing the NAP process within our countries. And that has been realized in most of the countries where they have actually submitted their NAPs. The 19 countries that have already submitted their NAPs, it has been highlighted as one of the key that in the multi-stakeholders forums during the consultation, it has been realized the involvement of different stakeholders in that. The second one also in the medical subgroup is we have a subgroup on NAP technical guidelines, which actually helps in developing the NAP process and the implementation, and also the NAP implementation supports. And also the last one, look at the NAP tracking subgroup. This last group is actually important, the tracking one, because we have to monitor it on the progress of the process, beginning with the formulation and the implementation. and see how many countries have submitted their NAPs, how many countries has actually implements their NAPs. And this is whereby the UN University Partnership come in doing analysis on what has been achieved, where, when. And in light of that, we all bring in expertise from different areas, different organizations working on NAPs. And at the same time also, we also provide a platform for experience sharings, whereby youth are actually the feelers to make sure that their contribution is here. The subgroup will assist the LACs in implementing key activities under its work programs, including expanding risk-based approach in NAPs, NAP implementation, pipeline developments, metrics to measure the outcomes. As I said before, that the issues of tracking are key toward this. And also at the same time also considering the issues of gender aspect into this process. We do believe that the effects of climate change are more felt by women, our women. And we think that putting them in the front line to fight the climate change is a key toward this. We cannot do without involving the youth and the women in the front line of climate change. Pacific, also the multi-stakeholder subgroup will also work on enhancing engagement and activities in NAPs related to gender, youth, the private sectors, national and the subnational authority, as well as the local communities and the indigenous communities. We are all believe, and I'll give example. When we grow up as kids, we were told that there's some trees that you cannot cut. If you cut, you will die. That was the perception that we are given. But later, as we grow up, we came to understand that what the message that was passed was that such a trees, there's some of the trees which are more important that cannot be destroyed. But also as we grow up again, we discovered that what was being said is that nature cannot be destroyed. We have to leave the nature as it is. And those are some of the issues that we learn from the indigenous people and also from the local communities. And also in light of that also, as part of this multi-stakeholders forums, subgroups, young people can engage as policy accelerators, as I mentioned before, by collaborating with the lake and provide direct input. The lake is open to different groups, particularly the young, to make sure that their comments to be included in the process are key issues that we look at. We think that youth are the feelers of everything. And if you look into the current population, 70% are actually termed as youth. 70% of the population are categorized within the age of youth. And that shows that they have a bigger role to play over this. Their role mostly will help in accelerating policies. And also it will also help in accelerating the process for formulating and implementing NAPs in the least developed countries. These provide a promised areas of collaboration, as I said, collaborating together to make sure that the youth provide direct inputs to the NAP process. The second one that I would also like to highlight, and this is one of the key areas that is interesting also for the lake and in which we can also collaborate, is that the NAP Expo remain the key to facilitate the formulation and implementation of NAP by providing space for a wider range of stakeholders, including the parties, the organization, to develop a new idea for scaling up adaptation planning and implementation, while integrating gender, youth, and private sectors consideration into the formulation and implementation of the NAP. As I said, these stakeholders are actually important. And that is in light of the lake, we think that it is important to get engaged with the youth on the issues of implementation and scaling up. I have seen good examples of the projects that have been presented over the video. whereby there was a study that had been shown from India, and also one which is also in a small island states, whereby the youth were much involved. The lake still encourage them to do more. There's more ahead of us to be done. And again, in light of this, by collaborating with the UN university partnerships, the NAP Expo could also provide a platform for young people to showcase youth-led adaptation, action, and solution. And that would also, I would actually like to highlight, there will be also adaptation, the global adaptation forums in South Korea. And in light of that, the youth will be the pillars of that, and would like to invite you to attend the same. The forum will actually help in identifying good practice and methodology to support youth engagement in implementing NAPs. We have been saying that youth are the pillars in implementation. But in the same times, when you go to the grassroots, sometimes you find that the youth have been left out, but they are the pillars. The lake makes sure that the youth are much involved into this, in the implementation process. And this is what we have actually started as a lake. Third, as part of its rolling work programs for 2023 to 2024, the lake will continue to offer direct support to the least developed countries in formulating their NAPs and to mobilize wide-end input from all available actors and stakeholders through different modalities and initiatives such as the NAP Data Initiative. So under the program, which is the NAP Data Initiative, this is an open data initiative whereby all the youth might be in a position to get any information that will be useful in their lifetimes and also in the process of formulating the NAPs. This initiative also provides navigation to readiness available data, open source data platforms, goes further by enabling the direct integration of results of data analysis, as we said, will be in a position to cooperate in those areas. But at the end also, we also foresee this is another entry point whereby we collaborate with the university partnerships as mean for young profession to engage in close knowledge gaps in the NAPs. We all know that, and I will also give an example myself. When I was a student in India, when I was doing my master's in climate science, we think that in a class, there's a difference between theory and practical. And in light of that, it is always good to involve youth in a practical aspect. Finally, we are grateful for this opportunity and looking forward to further engage and consultation with the Nairobi Work Programme and universities' partnership program to promote the leadership of young people in adaptation knowledge, planning, and transformation action. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Extremely valuable comments, and a really take-home message is that the University Partnership Programme can really value from working closely with the LEG, and thank you very much for your words on that, and I look forward to collaboration. I'll pass now to Britta from the Adaptation Committee and ask you the question, what role should the UN University Partnership play to support the work of the Adaptation Committee? Britta, over to you.
Now, thank you very much for the invitation. So far, the AC does not have a direct collaboration with the partnership. We do, though, have a long-standing commitment and engagement with the Nairobi Work Programme, also in response to requests from Substar, and we regularly provide advice on the delivery of the mandate also to the Nairobi Work Programme. So, but on your question, I think I see three potential ways of how the partnership could support the work of the AC. I think it could help to translate existing knowledge products to the regional context. As you know, we regularly compile technical papers, for example, and other overview papers. So, and we are also encouraged, of course, to bring that to the regions. But of course, that is a huge challenge. And these products often give an overview, but can't go to the details and the regional context. So I think it requires a translation. It also merits a discussion on to what extent the findings or the information in there is applicable, is relevant to the region, and that could be something that could be of interest, where universities could say, we have an interesting overview by the AC, for example, on methodologies on how to assess adequacy and effectiveness. That's something we regularly compile also on our website. But what does that mean for our context? Is it applicable? Is it meaningful? What else? What are our approaches? So it can also be taken as a source of inspiration. But that is where the AC has a mandate, so to share relevant information and knowledge and exchange in an exchange on good practices and experiences, and so that is one way. So look at the products that the AC is producing, and if you think they provide relevant information also for your context, what could that mean? But of course, they can also be taken as an inspiration, or maybe, I don't know, for further research, because even some of the products point to some of the questions still at hand, some other existing challenges or unsolved questions and answers where you as researchers might have good answers to. The second main point is, I think, that the partnership itself could help us addressing knowledge needs related to the formulation and implementation of national adaptation processes. And I think, John, you also pointed to that. And here, I mean, the AC, in particular, for example, at its last meeting said that looking at the gaps and needs that have been identified is very important, because, of course, a key related question is, what are these needs, what are the knowledge needs, and who defines them? And here we have a collaboration with you as the leg, where we regularly identify these challenges related to the formulation and implementation of NAPs, and that, of course, could provide you some indication where information is needed. Another example is, for example, the whole question of how to set up monitoring and evaluation systems. We are currently compiling here an overview paper which we'll present at the Adaptation Futures Conference in October, together with the OECD and the NAP Global Network, that both will also provide some guidance documents there. And so these could be also an inspiration for you to see what are relevant knowledge areas where we need further information, further research on, and areas that require further discussion or an exchange between practitioners and research. And of course, but that's something to be seen. We'd, of course, also be interested to hear views on what knowledge gaps are from the research communities and bringing that upwards, because it should not only be top-down but that I think is part of the key challenges and how to organize such a process. And that leads me to my third potential entry point of where I see that we could strengthen the collaboration. At the last meeting in the last year, we had been discussing that forming communities of practice in the Nairobi Work Programme could be a way to go, because then identifying these key areas where collaboration makes sense and where we then also need to maybe come to produce common products, as has happened with some of the technical experts groups in the Nairobi Work Programme on biodiversity, for example. That can be extremely helpful, and then getting also the comments from researchers to improve the quality of these products. So organizing the peer review and really formulating high-level quality products that then can inform governments for the challenges at hand. So broadly speaking, related to the implementation of adaptation processes and action. But it could also be related to new topics, such as that you highlighted to that, what is transformational adaptation, what does it mean in a context, how should we approach it, and what is related guidance we could give, or how could we improve risk assessment with respect to transboundary risks and cascading risks, and what does it mean for the design of our NUP processes. These are three high-level ideas, I think, I'd like to propose, and yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marisa. We came here to get some targeted advice, and I think that was extremely targeted. Thank you very much indeed. Really valuable. Just to let the audience know the context, of course, the University Partnership Programme is under the Nairobi Work Programme umbrella, which has an explicit mandate, a very important one, to draw input from knowledge users, diverse knowledge systems, including local knowledge, including indigenous peoples' knowledge, in identifying relevant adaptation and resilience needs and good practices. And the mandate is also, of course, very importantly, a collaboration and a close collaboration with the facilitative working group. So with that very brief introduction, I'd like to move now to Daria. We'd really like to learn from you regarding how best we can build forward this program while engaging knowledge holders as well as indigenous youth from local communities, and collaborate with the facilitative working group.
Thank you very much, and let me express my great attitude of being part of this important event on behalf of the Facility Working Group. So the Facility Working Group, or FWUG, is a constituted body which was established at the COP24 to further operationalize this platform. The constituted body strives to elevate the leadership role of indigenous peoples and local communities in the collective effort toward transformative climate policies and action by upholding a rights-based approach, ethically and equitably applying indigenous values and worldviews and perspectives from local communities, fostering full and effective participation of indigenous peoples and local communities. And let me allow to highlight 3 points of our work and suggestions. First of all, bridge the academic policy practice divide and go beyond the usual notion of universities and learning to strengthen our collective knowledge and understanding of ways to address climate change. We need to be inclusive in engaging indigenous knowledge holders and local communities. They are also experts and have lots to offer, from indigenous value to specific actions. We also would like to propose for the UPP to widen its horizons and to take into consideration diverse educational system, formal and informal, and to consider varied outcomes because of the program are not just in the usual research and thesis format. Let us expand our classroom to the natural world and have a deeper understanding of what unity with nature is. Learning is a continuous process, and through various approaches, including through art and film, in public green spaces and community events, and across digital platforms and social movements. Second, in addressing knowledge gaps, let's focus on transformative climate action and in the collective understanding and application of indigenous values and knowledge systems. Indigenous knowledge system and local knowledge already have solution to some of these knowledge gaps, solution and actions that have been passed on for generations and have helped communities thrive despite the impacts of climate change. Addressing knowledge gaps should ensure intergenerational equity. Nature should take center stage in our pursuit of our knowledge. The third one, consider collaboration with the Facility Working Group in areas that contribute to knowledge building, strengthen capacity in informing policies. specifically under Activity 3 of the current LCIPP working plan. The facility working group is currently doing work to identify and address substantive information about the development and use of curricula and materials that highlights indigenous knowledge in formal and informal education systems. Through the IPP, we may want to explore the possibility of collaborating to share relevant practices and stories, to diverse formats, and conduct a literature review of these materials to inform international climate change policy process. In addition, we can consider reaching out to universities from different UN socio-cultural regions which have specific programs in indigenous studies, including in Asia, America, Arctic, Pacific, Africa, and Central and Eastern Europe, Russian Federation, Central Asia, and Transcaucasia regions. This will help address some of the challenges that you mentioned in the presentation earlier. In conclusion, we would like to urge the University Partnership Program to help us to reach the transformation we aspire. Let us address knowledge gap by shifting mindsets, collective action, mutual learning, and shared responsibility. To this end, we are looking forward to more collaboration with the Nairobi Work Programme and with the University Partnership Program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Daria. Extremely valuable, and we look forward to close collaboration moving forward. So thank you. I'm conscious you may have to go, do you, for the agriculture work, or can we keep you a little longer?
Yes, close.
So anyway, thank you very much to our constituted body colleagues. I now want to pass to our young person here, Laura, who's a former alumna of the University Partnership Programme. What can you tell us from your experience, Laura? And I'm just conscious of the time, so please be brief.
I will try to be as brief as possible. So you heard a little bit about the different research experiences of other students, but I'm going to speak specifically to my student experience. So about me, I'm a European American from California, and I did my undergraduate education at UC Berkeley, where I got my 2 bachelor's degrees, before I decided to come to the Netherlands and Europe at Wageningen University to pursue my master's in climate science and policy. I specifically went to VER because a part of the master's program is this academic consultancy training program, which is a 13-week training program that requires us to engage in a consultancy project. For our group, that ended up being a collaboration with the UNFCCC and the Nairobi Work Programme, something we did not think we would have the opportunity to do. And when we were selected for this project, my team and I were incredibly shocked and honored with the opportunity that we were given. My team consisted of myself from the United States, Manuela Gutierrez Garcia from Colombia, Pratik Gupta from India, Prabhath Megamji from Sri Lanka, and then Nina Zibetti from Italy. So we also recognized that while being in a European institution, we really had a diverse body to engage with this project, and particularly Pratik and Prabhath were like the honor that they held and the emotion they held at getting this opportunity of having left their countries to get it. I cannot express accurately what that meant to them and how it has impacted their lives. The benefits is, through this program, we published a 109-page technical report on the review and comparative assessment of monitoring, evaluation, and learning frameworks to be applied by the NWP and its partners. We released an executive summary, a news article, a slide deck in addition to this to be disseminated to different stakeholders at different levels to improve their engagement. We gained incredible professional experience. This was such a boost to our professional portfolios and to our resumes, but this experience also greatly educated us and taught us a lot about how we can future apply ourselves in a professional capacity. I know that I would not have been as strong an applicant to the UNFCCC internships that I applied to had I not engaged with this opportunity, and I do not think I would have been accepted to as many UNFCCC internships as I had been, because many of them highlighted this experience and this publication within the interviews. So I'm standing here today as an intern, I think largely in part because of the fact that I had this opportunity. And for my peers as well, like Manu has a job in Colombia that she also attributes her experience with this publication and attributes to that on why she was offered that. As for recommendations, I contacted my team, and we have a selection of recommendations that we have all together come up with, and then there are some that are mine alone and not also a part of the NWP. So we all agreed that the NWP needs to expand in having more similar projects and collaborations with universities in developing countries, but we also wanted to stress that you need to maintain the partnerships you have with universities like my own and expand to similar institutions like my alma mater, UC Berkeley, because there are many students from developing countries who move and who travel to other parts of the world to gain a higher education, and you don't want to deprive them of the experience, because had Ver not been a part of this, then Pratik and Prabhat would not have been given, and Manuela would not have been given the opportunities that they would have. But also by including universities such as UC Berkeley and other American institutions, you can include indigenous peoples and First Nations peoples from within different countries and institutions. On the part of myself, I think we should not limit these programs to master theses alone, as some schools do not allow master students to have group theses, and that you should include programs such as the one that my school has as avenues for more inclusive and innovation partnership. We also, this is me, being here, you guys have a very limited capacity in engaging with internal partner networks to ensure that students are supported. But I do recognize, especially having been on this team, that is because there is a limited internal capacity to be able to engage with partnerships. So to you guys, I extend an invitation to readily collaborate with the NWP, but also to people listening and any students who are here. I did not know this initially, but you can reach out directly to the NWP and the UNPP as both a student and a university to express interest for projects. So if you have that interest and if you have the capacity to engage, I encourage you to do so more projects can be released. I also think that we need to expand and improve our communication and outreach with students and with universities, because had I not been at Ver and had I not engaged with the ACT, I would not have even known this was an opportunity that I could have had. So I think those are his direct recommendations.
Thank you so much, Laura. Wonderful, thank you. So I move now to Emmanuel. Emmanuel is a very close collaborator and friend of the UN University Partnership. He's with the UN University. We've been working closely to explore areas of synergistic collaboration. Emmanuel, what can you tell us about your experience? How can we build forward? How could the University Partnership Programme operationalize? And Emmanuel's very involved in the PATCHID program, which is the Pan-African program. So how could we, in the regional context in Africa, move this forward? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Joe, and a warm welcome also from my side. It's quite an honor for the invitation, particularly to talk on behalf of, or in the name of the United Nations University. Maybe just 2 quick points before I answer your question. First is to recognize what Daria said about informal and formal education, which I think these are 2 important streams of knowledge. The second is to also recognize the University Partnership Program, which to me it's a timely intervention, particularly in bridging the gap between university knowledge and the UN system, as well as providing opportunity for students to make a contribution both nationally and in the international platform. Often we hear of engaging youths in this global debate or engaging youths in making contribution at their national level. I think the University Partnership Program is one of the most practical way of engaging youths and as well making their voice to be heard at the national level and also at the global level. Having said that, Joe, back to your question. Like you rightly said, we have been into this for quite some time, trying to see how this could be operationalized in collaborating with some universities in the continent of Africa, which has been quite challenging for some reasons, which I'm using this opportunity to share my experience. And one of the main, I think one of the main observation was based on the background of the students. Some of them are poor, some of them are rich, some of them have other activities beside university, which, for example, to support their parents after school in different activities like agriculture or the business where they are involved, which to a certain extent provide them with very limited luxury of doing activities outside the academic program. I fully understand your point that it should not be limited only to master program, but in my context, I would rather recommend that to make the process very inclusive and to have all set of students, then I think the way forward should be try to align such a program with an academic program, which could either be in the form of a master thesis or a study project where that is available. That is one point. The second point is on working with technical partners. I think a way to enhance collaboration with a technical partner could also be in the form of an internship. Formalizing this kind of program, I think it's a way to enhance the commitment of the technical partners, but also I think it also enhances the capacity of students, giving them more opportunity for employability after their study program. So last but not least, it's on funding, which is something very critical, because this definitely needs to, the student definitely needs funding to be mobile so as to be able to conduct their research. But not only limited to the student, because also when we're talking with professors or colleagues in universities, they were also asking if there is some funding for them, because sometimes this kind of activities goes beyond their regular working time. So they will need to sacrifice some additional time. So funding could be viewed from both students and from the supervisor perspective. So to conclude or to summarize and to give maybe some recommendation from my side, it's maybe citing an example where we were engaged, which is with the Pan-African University of the African Union. With them, they have the students are privileged to have a kind of a research grant, and what we were thinking was to leverage this research grant by engaging the students through this opportunity. I think there are this kind of opportunity out there, which I think the University Partnership Program could find a way to formalize such collaboration so that a specific number of students could be integrated. I think it's a kind of a win-win, a kind of a low-hanging fruit, but making a win-win opportunity for the student. The second is engaging with the wider network of the United Nations University, because we have about 17 institutes around the world. I think it provides also an opportunity for when it comes to supervision or engaging students at the university level. And last but not least, also, it's that the Pan-African Cooperation and Education Technology, the program where I've been working, we are definitely also on board to continue the collaboration and to see how to make this a reality going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Thank you. So now over to Pilar. You come from the National University of Rosario, a very important partner of the program. We would like you to, if you like, reflect a little bit on your experience, but most importantly, how do we build forward from here? Over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to be here representing my university. Probably you on the audience are wondering where is Rosario. Rosario is in the center east of Argentina, and is the most important maybe feature is that is the city of Messi. So probably you may have some idea from there. But of course we are quite more, but we have this amazing opportunity also to be his home. So, we have the National University of Rosario has a diploma on political management of climate change that I have the opportunity to run. And under this diploma, we started our collaboration with the Nairobi Work Programme. So we had so far more or less 2 years of this amazing conversation, dialogue, co-construction of a process. And our project, this first project, was focused on assessing knowledge gaps in adaptation planning processes and agriculture, land use and tourism in the Parana Delta, the Middle Parana Delta. That is a very particular and important part in our ecosystems is where are located some of the most important wetlands of South America, and this is a very complex place for us from many views. Politically talking, economically, and many more. We have suffered a drought of 3 years, first time in what we know, at least. And of course, there is a lot of conflict for land use. So this is a territory where the communities are really have an important role. So already a lot of stakeholders very involved with the different situations in this region. So in this regard, we had an opportunity to work with Lucky methodology applied in the workshop that took place in 2014 in the Andean region. And we started with those adaptation knowledge gaps, and we work with them, and we develop a co-creation process with a lot of amazing partners. So this was part of the process. This is just to give you some context, but then just to say that maybe reflect on some of the issues that other partners also said during this conversation, that we have a great opportunity during this time, not only to have young people, 5 students from different countries, Chile, Mexico, Argentina, also Bulgaria, that are the adaptation team in the diploma. They were the ones that were developing this project. And we have the opportunity with them to share with all these students in workshops and to share with this amazing team of the Nairobi Work Programme, something that is not so we are not so used to have. We don't have that opportunity many times. Not all our students have that opportunity, so that was amazing. We also saw a great opportunity from the very beginning to implement and to see, as you saw in the main objective of the project, to see how these fit with the adaptation planning processes at the local and national level. So that multi-scale of adaptation was quite critical for us. And now we have the certainty that this product is already being used at the local level as part of the local plan, and is also being used at the national level, the national adaptation plan. So this is some of the great news here with respect to very concrete outcomes of this opportunity. With respect to maybe the challenges, of course, I could highlight many more things in how this, Laura mentioned this changed people's lives. I really believe that this was quite an opportunity for the students on that regard. I'm sure that they are, and in comparison with other groups of the same diploma that didn't have this opportunity, is completely different. So for sure, I want to highlight that. With respect to the challenges, Emmanuel referred to funding issues. I think this is quite critical and need to be said. We had the opportunity to have a micro grant of ARA and to run a project there in order to have all the mapping process, the co-creation with many stakeholders. But if we in the case we didn't have it, it could have been very challenging for us. So I believe that this is a great opportunity to target this program and to really expand it, as Joe said at the beginning, in a good way. And another issue that I would like to raise is that we use the knowledge gaps of this workshop 10 years ago, and that were very useful, but still, of course, need to be updated. And also we need workshops in the different regions and sub-regions that help us to understand better these knowledges, these adaptation gaps. And my last point here, I have two more, sorry. The AKP, and Laura mentioned the communication pieces. I completely agree. I see there is a great opportunity to make more visible in the AKP all the products that these different teams are developing, and also in relation with that, how the AC, the LEG, and other constituted bodies can use these case studies in their own daily work that I believe that currently are not being used, as Britta said. This is not intentional, but it is an opportunity. So this event is already an opportunity to target those case studies and lessons learned and to use them in the constituent bodies of the UNFCCC. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pilar. If everyone will bear with me, I know we are on the program to stay till 6, but we do have some more speakers, and the tech team have kindly agreed to stay for 15 more minutes. Thank you very, very much for that. We will pass now to online. We have Manuel. He and I have not actually met, but we've spoken a few times virtually. And Manuel is with the International Water Management Institute, and they were the technical partner for our Charm EU students in Botswana. And Manuel, I hope you can hear me, and would like to ask you the question, what was your experience, and how can we build forward on the University Partnership Programme? If you can unmute Manuel, hopefully you're there. Oh, thank you. Can you turn on your video? Can you hear us? Manuel, we think you're connected, but we can't see or hear you. Should we move on? Okay. Manuel, I hope you can connect, but we will move on with the program now. I'd like to introduce, I'm sorry, you're on your own now with the panel. We've all left apart from Alison. Alison is a very valuable partner from Cornell University. She's run a number of projects as part of the University Partnership Programme. She and I know each other actually from, we're both scientists. I don't know if many of you know, I was leading the RSO work before joining the Nairobi Work Programme. And Alison and I have been, and the Nairobi Work Programme team have been sort of pushing a few heads together on this very question that we're trying to address at this side event over the last year. And would like to ask you, Alison, how really you see us moving the University Partnership Programme forward based on your experience with your students and really sort of the need to build this forward in a much more engaged and global way. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, if we can advance to my slide. Can you go one more and then come back? I also just want to really acknowledge that I developed this slide with Nicole Asepi from Bezos Earth Fund, and we've been meeting with Joanna this spring to try and brainstorm the way that we could build out and expand and strengthen the UN University Partnership Program. She was going to be here, but had another engagement come up. So Nicole, thank you. And now we can go back to the slide that we developed together. So, okay, this is interesting. What I wanted to really say is that we took this image of what the UN University Partnership Program currently is from your website, and that's the yellow circles. And then we thought about what we would think as having students go through this program and from a foundation experience is really necessary. So I'm gonna highlight 3 things. The first thing is that I really think we ought to build and strengthen North-South and also East-West collaborations. So our students last fall and into this spring, I teach a global climate change science and policy class at Cornell University. We're in Ithaca, New York, and we had teams of students work on projects for Tonga, Zambia, and Peru. I want to call out my wonderful student, Chloe Long, who worked on the Tonga report. She's here after if you want to ask her any questions. What we found from that, it was quite difficult to make a connection with local institutions on the ground, and we also didn't have a partnership with a university in those 3 countries. So my first thought is to strengthen the partnership program by directly connecting with a university that a northern university already has a partnership program with. And I'm sitting here at SP 58 wearing 2 hats. I am so proud to be on the Armenian delegation for many years now. My head of delegation, Gayane Gabrielian, is here. I did my dissertation work in Armenia, my PhD, and I would love to strengthen the partnership by building a collaboration with Yerevan State University, Armenian University of Economics, and American University of Armenia. That would be my interest along with working with Peru and Tonga and Zambia. But I think we need to find these connections where researchers already have a strong partnership. The second thing I think we need to do is strengthen the connections with local actors on the ground. So for our Peru project that Chloe worked on, we did have a really good contact through Cornell University, a Peruvian climate scientist, and he's often working in his home country, but we had a difficult time finding an expert at an institution at a university in Peru. Our team, wow, they did an amazing job. They interviewed about 20 experts in Peru. So their report, you can find it, but having a connection with an expert on the ground would help strengthen this program. And then our third item is we can't do this without support. And so bringing in foundations, think tanks, funding organizations, and companies is critical because Joe's team is doing the best that they can and with awesome work from Lily, but their capacity is really limited. And we have this amazing opportunity to use the strength of students, university students, give them opportunities that they need, give opportunities to students in developing countries and in former Soviet Eastern European countries, but we need funding and support to do that. So those are the 3 items that I really wanted to highlight today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. So I'm conscious of the time. Can you move the screen forward? Next one. Next one. So we were going to have an open discussion. The floor is open if anyone has any questions. But what I would also like you to do is scan this QR code, which is not the same as the one we showed at the beginning, which has a very, very short number of questions. So we hope you can complete them either right now while you're still brains are thinking about the university partnership and building it forward. And really, it would be great to gather your input into where you think we should build this. And we will take that on board as we think about the future of the partnership program. I definitely want to answer a question, and thank you so much for joining us. Do you have a question? Let me
Yes. First of all, thank you very much for organizing, and thank you very much for inviting me, because it is very important. I represent the government of Armenia. I am the Deputy Minister of Environment, but I am also the lecturer in Armenian State University of Economics and Yerevan State University. And now we are working on new study. This is like something like climate finance, because this is the most important for our case. But in this regard, this is very important to me to understand how can our students be more engaged, because Alison has already mentioned, Laura mentioned, and many of speakers told about this networking, etc., etc. But I think that it is not enough for a country like Armenia, because we are like trying to do our best in climate agenda, government pushing the environmental agenda, and this is very difficult to talk with big bosses about the environment, because there is no finance. If there is no finance, you can't talk with them. So we push fiscal risk assessment in climate, we push water fiscal risk assessment, we push environment and finance and etc. But this is very also important to understand how we can move forward and do more with our students. So what do you think about this, and how we can engage also Armenia and Georgia? Not only Armenia, I think this is the same issues in Georgia, in Russia, in Ukraine, in all countries, that environment is something like something not visible in financial needs. That's why it's going to the last topics. I'm sorry for telling this, but this is the truth.
No, thank you very much. And it's a very, very important question, and I don't think I can answer all of it. All I can say is we are here at the moment trying to reflect on what we can do with the resources that we have with the University Partnership Programme. We're very conscious of the existing consortia. We're very conscious of the work that's going on in universities globally. We want to ensure that we build this forward to respond very much to party needs. That's really where the Nairobi Work Programme and the work of the Partnership Programme is positioned between parties, the process and the technical support that we can build. So we hope very much to build it up, to respond to these needs, that respond to some of the things we've heard today very much around addressing knowledge into the needs of the National Adaptation Plan process, of the Constituted Bodies. The Nairobi Work Programme itself, in a broader context, is also trying to do that. So we're noting all the points, and we hope we can build this forward in a conscionable way. Thank you so much for your comments. Manuel is online. Oh, this is fantastic. Manuel, we can pass to you for the final words. No pressure.
Okay. No, thanks.
Manuel,
my apologies.
It's absolutely fine. I did have a question for you. I've already introduced you a few moments ago, but as our technical partner in Botswana with the Charm EU project, we really would like to hear your thoughts about how to build the University Partnership Programme forward. So, Manuel, can you put your video on? Can we see you?
My network band, I think, is a bit low now.
Okay, then we can hear you well. So please, over to you.
Okay, thanks very much. I think it was a great experience. I think from the southern part, when we partnered with the Charm and the network program, and I think we had the experience of the transdisciplinary nature of the project, which was very great in terms of working at touching all different areas in trying to build climate resilience. As IMI, we intend to build climate resilience by implementing projects which tackle gender, power inequalities in the face of dynamic and economic ecological challenges. So this project actually, it was very relevant to our strategy as well. But few things that we learned is that partnership is very key in executing these projects, as it will actually facilitate also co-funding or funding mobilities for the students in some of the aspects. For example, if we have got a project that is going on, we can actually easily facilitate the funding of some of the field activities for the students. So with that, I think it's key to look into the future programs. My other point, I think, though we could actually leverage on the partnerships that we have with the government departments, for example, in Botswana, the Department of Water, Department of Environment. So we were able to sort of have some virtual meetings and interviews with the students, with the officials in those departments, which helped in data collection and also understanding the context that Botswana is facing in terms of climate. Yeah, I think those are some of the key issues. My last point is more on the appropriate digitization that I think should be looked as we develop the new programs. Digitalization is becoming a key aspect in terms of upscaling or reaching many farmers in different areas. So I think that's my last point that I would like to share with you. Thank you for this opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Manuel. And I feel like your final point actually brings us back in circularity to Payai's initial point, where we were indeed talking about the power of data and the changes that are coming very, very fast now with the AI and the opportunities that IT can provide us. So with that, I would like to thank you very, very much for staying till 6:15 on a Saturday afternoon. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for all your valuable inputs. Can you put the QR code for the? Thank you. So if you have not got it, then please give us your updates or share it. We will compile a short report from this side event and share that on the on our. Well, we'll look at it internally and see if we can think about how we can share that appropriately with colleagues. We're also very conscious our adaptation knowledge portal is in let's say it's a work in progress. And we do want to feature the work of the partnership program much more strongly moving forward, and that is well taken on board. And with that, I wish you a very pleasant Saturday evening. Enjoy the sunshine, enjoy Bonn, and thank you very much for your attention.